Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Lauren LaRosa filling in for Jess. And we got a special guest in the building. We have Bozoma St. John. Welcome back.
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm doing all right.
Good
How
to
you
see
feeling?
you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
I'm sending you positive energy
Oof.
and love and light because
Boy.
we just saw that you lost your house in the LA wildfire.
Yes, right. In Malibu.
In
Yeah.
Malibu. And you said you found out on social media?
Yes. Found it on Twitter. A video.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah. Somebody just driving down PCH. And I was like, oh, that's my intersection. Oh, shit. There's no house.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to go back to see whatever was there, the rubble, if you could
No,
find anything?
I haven't been able to be back yet. So it's like, everybody's just waiting to see when we're allowed to go back and see what is left. Although, there's nothing left. But I think there's still something about the grief process where you just need to see it.
Right.
Just to know yourself that it's totally gone.
I was going to ask you that. Do you feel like, is it a grief?
It is a grief. Yeah. Because it's a loss. It's a big loss. It's like, I think, people have said things like, oh, well, at least you have your life and, it's just things and you can replace it. I'm just like, you know how long it took me to get there? 25 years of hard work.
Did you lose pictures, passports,
Yes,
all that?
like so many things.
But when you evacuated, what were you able to grab, if anything?
Nothing. Well, first of all, I wasn't even in the country.
You were in.
I was in Zambia.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Your birthday, right?
Yes.
Happy belated.
Happy
Thank
belated.
you so
Happy
much.
belated.
22?
Yeah, thank you. Ooh, that's a lie. But it was like, it was so scary and overwhelming because, all you know is that the fires are coming. You don't know which direction they're going in.
Mm-hmm.
And the evacuations happen so quickly that, the people who are in their homes, like really, you don't have time to think. I think we've all had that moment, right, where you've been like, oh, it's like if there was something, like, who would you save or what would you take?
Mm-hmm.
And you make those theories, but in reality, it doesn't work like that. There's just panic. And for me, since I was so far away, there was really nothing I could do.
Wow.
And who was I going to send to go get my stuff? I was going to do that, so you got to let it burn.
Did you see online, which I thought was horrible and distasteful, people were saying, when rich people or wealthy people were losing their cribs, good for them, they could get another one and all that. And I'm thinking, like, it doesn't matter if you're wealthy, if you're not. You're losing things that care and mean the most to you. So,
Yeah.
so how did you feel when you seeing that? Like, now you just lost all your property, you lost all
Right.
your things, and then you see this online.
Well, it pisses me off because it's like, who you think gave me the house?
Right.
You think somebody just came here and gave me the house? You don't know that I worked for it? So what if you worked for it? You should just lose it and it should be all right? No, of course. I'm sad. I cry. I'm mad. It's like, yes, of course, I'm in a better position because I will be able to replace things. I will be able to rebuild. But who wants to do that?
That's right.
We got enough going on. I don't want to have to do that too. Like, can I get some peace? Just want some rest. And so it's like, it makes me upset when people say stuff like that.
What was the most important thing or the one thing that you are so upset that you couldn't get or that you missed out on or you lost?
To be honest with you, I haven't even really thought that far into it. I think it would be too overwhelming for me right now. But like what happens is that every once in a while I'm just like, oh damn, that thing was over there.
That was there.
You know what I mean? Like I go reach for something, I'm just like, it's gone. And that's the part that is really upsetting because it could be such small things, and then there's like the really big stuff that you can't replace.
Me and my wife were talking the other day when we seen her. We were like, what would we grab? Like we try to start setting things up in the house.
Right.
And then she's like, well, I got to go get the photo albums. I got to get the pictures. I need the memories. And then she was like, but damn, what about the kid's first outfit? You want to be able to pass that on. And then you're thinking, well, what about this?
How
and
about the kids? Y'all got 13 of them.
You know what?
It's just 2 of y'all.
And you remember your baby girl,
all right.
how's she dealing with all of this? Because she's, she's young and explaining it to her. And
She's 15, and I think it's a tough time. You're already a teenager with all these emotions going on. But she has friends who've also lost their houses, so at least she has some community that she can talk to about shared experience. But, how do you comfort a child who's like, well, what if the fire comes again? Then what? So it's just a tough thing.
So what happens with school? Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to ask, so what happens with school and living? Well, first of all, was that your main house? Because you got money.
No,
where
it was
you
my
got
second house.
Oh, your second house. Okay.
I love that for you.
All right.
Yes,
Love
thank
it
you.
for you.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
sis.
So
They definitely not gonna feel sorry for you on Twitter. I
feel like anybody. The only reason why I say that with you, I mean, I don't know any of the other celebrities personally, but for me, when I moved to LA, you were one of the girls that like a lot of us were watching, like when you were in marketing, and now you're on the show, and you worked hard for what you have.
Yes,
so I love that it's my second house, and you can still go through things as well. So
exactly. And the thing is that the second house, it's like, look, I still had to fight for that house. Absolutely. I still had to battle racist neighbors for that house. I still had to put my house in a trust, inside of a trust, so nobody would know a single black woman was buying that house. And so I'm like, yes, it's my second house, but like, look, I should have a third house. I should have a fourth house. All these people get it, so why can't I have it?
You're right.
And so, I get pissed when it's like people are like, oh, well, that's all right. You know, you have another one. No, I want more, and we deserve more. So it's like when I get it and then I lose it, I want everybody to be pissed off. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know, we don't get a chance to buy in these neighborhoods. And so when we do and then we lose it, we should all be pissed. Because then when it's your turn? Mm-hmm. And then you can't buy it.
That's right. How are you able to show up and do this, though? Because, I mean, the show must go on, right? You got your new beauty brand, Eve Babaj. You promoting the reality show, but then you got all of this heaviness on you. How are you able to even show up and just do what you're doing right now?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not unused to grief.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I've faced a lot of it in my life. And one thing I know for sure is that the sun's going to come up the next day. People are going to keep moving. And if you don't move with it, you'll get left behind. You know, and it's like, look, I think one of the things for me is that, yes, I do want to rebuild. Yes, I do want another house. Yes, I want more things in my life. And how am I going to get it? Nobody's going to give it to me.
That's right.
So I got to get up and go do the work myself.
And what made you do Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Why did you jump into that craziness?
Like I know. That's the thing.
That's the first thing I said. I was like, why?
She must be bored. I was thinking she must be bored.
When I saw the announcement, I was like, I didn't think it was boredom. I just thought I was like, well, maybe this is gonna like lean into her, like future business goals.
I said she promoting something. I said she got something. I said,
you know
I'm not
I said Bose
like
is bored.
she's so successful already. She's the girl for us girls. Why would she go over there with them people?
Well, you know what's so funny? The idea of being on the show is actually really interesting to me because I do feel like there's no representation for women like me or like us, you know, that it's like, look, the corporate girlies who are ambitious, who are smart, who are loyal and will defend their friends and all of that, they don't exist in this space. No disrespect to anybody else, but they just don't. And so I'm like, well, I've already represented in so many different spaces. Like, why not do it here? And also work on a bigger platform and also do things that I want to do in a different way. So why not?
I guess we always look at you as an executive. Like, I want to run down some of your resume. You were the global CMO of Netflix, CMO of Endeavor, CBO of Uber, head of marketing of Apple Music and iTunes, head of music and entertainment marketing at PepsiCo. Am I missing anything?
I'm missing a whole lot. I'm missing a whole lot.
God's favorite baby.
Okay. So what would you say the key to all of that success has been? And do you prefer being behind the scenes or in front of the camera?
Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting. I mean, I think the key to success always has been that I truly am myself. You know, I think that a lot of people like to say that. It's hard to do because when you're in these spaces, conformity is what wins. You know, you've got to just be like everybody else. You got to wear the gray suit like everybody else. But anybody who has seen my career or seen me walking around has known that, like, I am a black girl first and foremost. I represent exactly who I am. I don't try to pretend not to be. And so for me, it's like that has been my key to differentiation and what has made me successful. And so now moving out of that space is just another unexpected thing. You know, it's like, look, you read my resume and it sounds great because people are like, oh my gosh, you did that and that. But it's like, if you were there with me day to day and were advising me, you'd see that people never cheered me on, even when I made jumps. Like, people never did. So when I left Apple to go to Uber, people were like, why would you do that? Like, why would you leave Apple? And at the time I went to Uber, it was like the company was going down in flames. They were like, why would you do that? And I was like, yeah, because first of all, y'all think that I'm getting these jobs as some sort of token. And so what I'm going to show you is actually I'm the greatest marketer alive. And that a company that is on its knees, I'm going to help rebuild. And when I do that, you can't ask me another question. And then it's like, okay, I moved from Uber to Endeavor. And then Endeavor to Netflix. And Netflix, I joined right at the start of the pandemic. And people are like, oh, why would you do that? Like, it's such a big company. Like, the spotlight is on it. If you fail, you're going to fail big. And I'm like, yeah, but if I can do that, then you can't ask me whether or not I can do this, right? Because now I've done it at 4 different companies. Who's going to deny me? And then I was inducted into the Marketing Hall of Fame, and I was like, yeah, okay, there, I'm done. Retire. Thank you.
Well, the Real Housewives franchise
She's in Jersey in the rafters.
is shooting down, so I guess you're there to save the Real Housewives franchise, because that franchise seemed like it was going down.
Well, I think that it deserves a reinvention. You know, I think the relationships between women has been really shown poorly in ways that are not helpful. I'm not saying that there's not conflict. There's always conflict. There's conflict in the boardroom. Okay, the fights I had in the boardroom were far scarier than any fight I've had on this damn show.
Do you know any of those women, or were you friends with them?
I knew one of them, yeah.
Lisa Vanderpump.
Sutton.
Oh, okay, because people thought that your connection to the show was Lisa Vanderpump because you guys were at that
I know, we were like at one event together in LA, like
it was like you and like 2 other
ago.
people in the picture. So they thought, I thought that maybe you knew her because she does so much business in Beverly Hills, and then she ushered you into the show. But
no. Sutton, because just socially.
Got you.
You know, we know each other that way. But yeah, I just think that there are opportunities for us to continue to show the diversity in relationships with women. And I don't know that this is like a one-trick thing. You know, we should have more ability to show the drama and conflict and the things that happen in your life that don't necessarily have to be with you just screaming and yelling at people needlessly.
All right.
You know what comfortable feels like, Bose?
Do I know what comfortable feels like?
Yeah. Have you ever allowed yourself to get comfortable?
I don't think in a workspace, no.
Yeah, that's what I mean, in a workspace.
Yeah, I haven't, no.
Why
I don't
not?
know. Because there isn't one. You know, not because I haven't allowed myself to, but because that's just death. You know, it's like if you get too comfortable in the corporate spaces, somebody's going to come get you. You know, and I don't think that there's any nirvana for Black people, or especially Black women in these spaces. And so I'm like, yeah, you always got to watch your back. So I don't think I've ever been comfortable, no.
I'm glad you said that, too, because I feel the same way. And I think that sometimes when you get too comfortable, you start to play it safe. And then that's when I think all of these industries start to die out.
Yes.
Because you got people who are playing it safe. And my thing is like, they probably going to fire you if you play it safe.
Right.
So you might as well take the risk, do something innovative.
Yeah.
Because if you get fired doing that, at least you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I've always said that, like, look, when I leave a space, I want you to know that I was there. Like, I will never leave a space and you were just like, oh, was she even here at all? No, I got to leave some sort of footprint. And so it's like, how am I going to do that if not representing for who I am and my community and all of those things? Now, look, I recognize the fact that it is a burden to be in these spaces and to be the one. And people always, you know, when something happens to Black people, they turn to you and be like, so what do you think we should do? And yes, that is annoying. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, well, maybe that's why I'm actually in this room, to actually say the things that are hard to say and the things that they wouldn't know otherwise. And so for me, the comfortability aspect has never really been part of what I have tried to achieve, because I know that that's not my destiny. That's not what I'm meant to do.
So are you staying in the room to do that? Because people think you're leaving the show because of the post that you put up on Instagram.
No.
Are you leaving?
No, I'm not leaving the show.
Okay.
That was about something else. But then my house burned down, so then I couldn't even talk about it. But
Oh, so you was going to quit something else? You had an announcement coming.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about like life changes and things I need to do, not about the show at all.
Got you.
Yeah, but
how will eliminate? Well, you see Trump's in office now, and you know,
yes,
all of these DEI initiatives are getting eliminated all across the country. How will that impact us, Black people?
Ooh, well, I mean, in a terribly adverse way, because you know, everything is cyclical. You know, so it's like you just look at society and culture and realize that things just go back around and around and around. And so we are headed back into like the mid 80s, you know, with the idea that America was only great when you had, you know, a monolith, only, you know, a few people at the top who were going to make the decisions. Yeah. And so everything else has felt like you're taking away from that community and from those people. And so, yeah, it's like they're coming back to be like, hey, look, everybody get out. We need to make this country better, and we can't have all of these people telling us what to do. They're not even the majority. And so until we actually come together as multiples of communities, we're never going to be in power. And so that's the thing that always confuses me. I'm like, I realize that there are challenges for Black people that are different from Latinos or different from Asian people or, you know, anybody else who's of color. But the challenge is that, like, we can't fight the battles individually. We really can't.
I wanted to know, you know, from we're proud of you as a community from what you've done, what you've accomplished. But, you know, some people might not know the educational background and how you got there.
Mm-hmm.
So for people that's in your field, that's admire you and want to say, damn, I want to even go a notch of what she did. How did you do it?
Right.
What is the educational background?
Well, I mean, I have my bachelor's degree. You know, I don't have a master's degree. I decided after my bachelor's that I wanted to jump right into work, you know, that I had the opportunity to go to Spike Lee's advertising agency, which is where I got my start. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I think the difference with how I did it is that I never thought that a job was too small, you know, for me to actually like.
Say that again, because people, I don't think they heard you in the back. And did you get paid at first? You didn't get paid at first, did you?
God, I got paid nothing. Got paid nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, the jobs were never too small. Like, I brought my full self to every single job. There was never a time where I was just like, you know what? When I get into that corner office, that's when I'm going to do da-da-da-da-da. No, I did that when I was an assistant. You know, it's like, you can ask Spike today, and he will tell you that, like, I crushed. In fact, like, when I was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, he did an interview, and he said he knew then that he would work for me one day.
Wow.
And that happened when I was at Netflix. Wow. And he got an overall deal while I was the CMO. You know, and so for me, it's like, look, there's never been a moment in my career where I felt like, oh, I can't wait for the next thing. I brought everything to the job I had. And so even now, as I sit here and doing this show and all that, I'm bringing everything I have, you know, because I want to be able to have the next opportunity and the next opportunity and the next opportunity.
How do you know when the job's done? Like, how do you know when your time at a place is complete?
That's a very complicated question. Like, I think some of it is intuition, you know, just feeling like the energy has shifted. So, but that requires knowing yourself and knowing what it is that you're trying to do and accomplish, you know? Back to what I was saying about people not cheering for me when I was done with a job and moving to the next thing, because they always feel like they know when you should go. Mm-hmm. You know, they're like, oh, wait, but you didn't do that big thing, so you should, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, but I can feel it. I can see that either I'm not going to be able to do it because somebody's in my way or there's something that has stopped me. And why stay in a place when you're going to have diminishing return? Mm. It's like at some point, you got to realize that you got to get out when you're on top. And that's how you keep at the top. Mm-hmm. You know, if you come down towards a decline, it is much harder to rise again. It's much easier to jump from top to top to top.
Mm. Do you consider yourself an alpha woman?
Absolutely, yes.
So with being an alpha woman, how is that in relationships? Do you feel like you have to submit a little bit? Do you feel like you have to fall back a little bit?
You couldn't pass that question to Lauren, huh?
Yeah.
You couldn't pass that question to Lauren, huh?
You know what?
No, because
I'll tell you the truth. Successful. No, because you know, when it comes to the Real Housewives franchise,
woman, you can relate.
No,
and you know what?
No, my wife watches the show, so she's a fan and she loves who you are. So she's always asked, like, damn, I wonder how is that in a relationship, because she's very strong, and she had that question. She also wanted to know, did you feel like those friendships on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills are real friendships, or do you think it's bullshit? Okay. But start with the alpha.
Okay, start with the alpha woman. Okay, so here's the thing. I can't diminish who I am. Yeah, it's not possible. So yes, I want the soft girl life and the whole thing, and I can have that too. But at the end of the day, this is who I am. You know, I walk into a room and I demand things. Mm-hmm. It is my energy and my aura. And so the need for a partner who is not threatened by that or not afraid of that is absolutely necessary. You know, so it's not necessarily about me dimming or getting quieter or being more subservient. It's that, like, who's just going to match my energy? You know, my mom says every pot has a lid. And I feel like now I found a lid.
How did you know that, Keely? Because also, too, not only is he coming and you're, like, already this super successful marketing Hall of Famer, but now he's having to be introduced on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Right.
And the girls got questions. And this is after your late husband as well.
Right, yeah.
How did you usher him into all that? And how did you know he was fit for that job?
Right. Well, also, I have to add that, like, I also respect him a great deal. You know, so that has to be at the bottom of it, you know, which is like, that's where we have to start. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And so the conversation, even telling him that, like, hey, look, I'm on the show, right? I would like you to be on the show, but let's talk about on whether or not you feel comfortable doing it. And when he said he did, then I was like, all right, look, you haven't been in the scrutiny like I have. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have to talk about what that looks like for you.
Right.
You know, and so to me, it's like there's a responsibility that I have to him. you know, in being my partner, on being on the show, and therefore making sure that he's also protected. So perhaps that's even where the alpha woman shows up, is that like I feel that, you know, I want to be protected by him, but I also feel a responsibility to protect him as well. And as for the relationships on the show, look, I'm the first one to tell you that I really thought that these conversations were played up. You know, I thought it was
you thought they were producers just make it up?
Yeah, you know, people be like, oh, she talked about you, da-da-da-da. And I was shocked to find out that the relationships are really real. So people get upset about real things, you know, and that you really don't know. It's just like life. Like, you don't know if somebody's talking about you behind your back. You do not know that. And so you're making assumptions based on the facts that are given to you. So you might be really nice to somebody, but yet she was over here talking about whatever it is that she want to talk about you, and you didn't even know. And so you see it on screen later, and people be like, oh, she should have known she was fake and this and that. You're just like, how would you know that? You'd have to be psychic. You wouldn't know. And so I am continuously learning about the relationships between the women and myself, and then also how it appears on camera. Reunions are going to be very interesting. That's all I know.
Could you have a house husband? Like if it was just a guy who
I don't think
wasn't
so.
as successful?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Well, he's a nice guy. He look good. He putting it down. He cooks. He cleans. He keeps everything.
I think it's probably more about like mindset and ambition than anything else. You know, I'm way too ambitious, I think, to have somebody who would not want to also be ambitious.
Yeah.
I also noticed on the show, they changed a lot on the show. Where, and I watched the show with my wife. That's our little thing. But I noticed on the show when I do watch it, I love seeing them women bow down to you a little bit. Like they tiptoe around you, and you know, like you could tell that they look for your approval. Do you notice that? Because it's a shift and it's a change.
I do think it's a shift because I'm not like them. And so I think anytime somebody new or like a new situation presents itself, they're also going to be a little careful, you know, because you just don't know. You got to test the water, right? Now, if I come back for second season, I think that would be a different situation because now they know.
They know you, right?
Right. And they're like, oh, okay, so she's got her opinions. She can stand up for herself, and they'll have a different way to interact with me. I'm sure that's going to happen.
How did putting out your book, The Urgent Life, My Story of Love, Loss, and Survival, how did that, being vulnerable in that book, prepare you to be vulnerable on reality TV? Oh,
that's a great question. It was so hard to write my memoir. You know, it was so hard because I think what happens is that, you know, as I was saying, with grief, you know, you just want to get it behind you. You know, you want to feel better. You want to feel, quote unquote, normal. And what happens is that we don't realize that you put away the sadness and the fear and the anger and all those things, but you also put away the happiness and the joy and all the good things that were a part of that, because your brain doesn't know how to separate any of those things. And so in writing the book, I had to go get all of that stuff back. You know, I had to be really honest about how I was feeling in a situation, or, you know, what was my true feelings about the thing in order to write an honest book. And I didn't feel like anyone would connect with it if I was just writing fiction. And that absolutely prepared me for this particular role, because I don't have the need to hold back from my personal life. You know, so much of my life has been about my professional pursuits. And so in writing the book, I was able to talk about love. I was able to talk about, you know, things that made me cry and, you know, things that hurt me. And so now it's like I can do that more comfortably because I've already done it by writing it.
How do you, this is back to the show stuff. How does it feel with you and Garcelle? Like, you guys are like the two black women on the show, right? And you already talked about like feeling like you're there to say certain things that people can't say, or whatever the case may be. Does it make you feel like a token? You don't give the energy that you would just be okay with that, but does it make you feel like that? Do you ever have to be like to producers like, no, I'm not doing it? Not happening.
Yes, all the time. Well, the thing is that like, I don't necessarily have to tell producers I'm not going to do whatever it is that, because they're not really orchestrating anything, you know? But I know that I'm not doing the thing that perhaps would be expected of me to do.
Right.
You know, it's like, I often said that, you know, I wasn't going to come down into the mud. It's like, if you have a conflict with me, you're going to have to rise to where I am.
Oh, okay.
You know,
like
in order for me, look, you know, I'm like, I'm not having petty disagreements.
Right.
You know, it's like I have enough going on in my life that I don't need to go down into like some small little things. Now, you know, if there is conflict about what is right and how somebody is perceived or what I believe is like a indefensible thing, then I'm gonna talk about it.
Right.
Do you feel the need to, like, do you and Garcelle, I don't know what your relationship is off camera.
Yeah.
What is that like?
It's a good relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel the need to defend her when certain things happen? And she, like, I know she was going through stuff where, like, they were attacking, like, her, I think it was her son or her kid.
Right.
And
now,
then there's a lesbian comment thing where people were dragging her for that with Kyle Richards.
Yeah.
Like,
See, here's the other challenge is that, like, I feel like I can defend things when I am present. You know, it's like, I think it's a very thin line when you start to talk about stuff that you're not present for. I've already said, I said it publicly, that, like, if somebody had said something about my child, oh man, I don't know that we'd be friends today. You know, it's like I don't know that I can get over that.
mm-hmm.
I have yet to talk to Garcelle about how she got over that. You know, just because I just felt that like it just crossed such a line, and perhaps she is, you know, more evolved than I am.
Maybe she hasn't gotten over it. She's waiting on her shot.
Maybe she waiting on her shot. I don't know. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But I do think that, you know, for her and I hope that what people are seeing is that it's a possibility to be more than one type of Black woman.
Yes.
You know, that like Garcelle is an accomplished actress who has her own life and her own challenges and issues. And the conflicts that she's had with the women don't necessarily have to be my conflicts, because I don't have those conflicts with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I probably have my own. And so why is it that we can only have one? Like, I really hate the comments when people are like, oh, okay, Boz is here, now Garcelle can go. And I'm like, why? Why can't one of the white girls go?
Whack. Yeah, you're right.
Like, why has it got to be her? Why are we pitting she and I against each other?
Right.
You know? So I'm like, no, there can be more of us in these spaces without having to be, oh, there's only one type and that's it.
And I know you've experienced that too, being, you know, the head of marketing in all these places, because they'll turn to you and say, what is a 17-year-old Black guy in Newark care about? Like, I ain't a 17-year-old Black guy. Like,
I don't live in Newark.
I hate that shit.
Exactly.
Like, we've been in meetings like, so what does a 32-year-old Black woman in Patterson think? I'm like, how the fuck would I know?
How do you know that? Exactly. I'm like, that's why you have research.
Yes,
okay, you have
yes.
research departments.
Yes.
Go do your job.
Yes.
right.
Or just bring some 32-year-old Black women in
Or
here.
do that. Yes, that
right.
part. Oh, that's a better answer.
That's part of the research, though. Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah.
Now, I have one other question. You know, with the fires in L.A., who do you blame if you blame anybody? Do you blame the government for not having enough water, the city, the town? Do you blame who do you blame?
Well, God and I have had this discussion. Because I don't really delve into conspiracy theories and do all of that stuff. Now, look, I think our public officials have a job to do to ensure that, you know, the response teams have what they need in order to do the things. But like, if you saw any video of Los Angeles on fire, you knew that was Armageddon. I mean, it was just,
it apocalyptic.
It's like, I don't know that there was any amount of water that could have saved a majority of the houses. You know, it's like people were taking their own hoses and, you know, wetting their houses, and then the thing was dry in like 5 minutes because of the heat of the fire. So I don't know that I lay blame on a human. You know, I'm like, that's why there's insurance, and it's called the act of God.
Gotcha.
Now, are you still, again, going back to the show again? I've been watching the show. You had talked about you're using the platform for stuff like being able to talk about like fibroids and getting your fibroids removed. And I thought it was interesting because you mentioned that you weren't in like a dire situation where it's like you're in pain and you had to. You're just planning because you want to have another kid potentially, right?
Yeah.
How you feeling like today?
Yeah, I feel really good today. I'm just glad that I was able to talk about that publicly because, you know, I don't know why it is that when we talk about reproductive health, especially for Black women, it's like this point of shame.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know how many people sent me messages, commented on the post, like friends who were texting me and being like, girl, I went through that last year. I'm like, why did I not know that? You know, it's like there's some strange shame that's associated with it, as if like we're not good enough or that we're not whole women because you have fibroids and you've got to get that removed in order to have any kind of, we can reproduce at all.
Right.
And so I'm just like, wait, but no, this is a health issue. You know, and it's like if we take care of that, we take care of ourselves, we will be in better shape. And I don't know that there's any benefit to hiding any of that.
I think you also brought up a good conversation too, because one of the things you said was like, I'm not getting any younger, so I want to make these plans now.
That's right.
Have you been having conversations with those same people about, just you're not getting younger, but you do want to have another kid right now, and what that looks like for you, and how you're planning for that?
Yeah, I mean, Keely and I, of course, talked about it. My daughter and I talked about it because, well, they're the two people who be impacted. Right. I don't really care about anybody else's opinions. But for me, it was really important to talk about the risks because I did not have easy pregnancies in the past. And so I wanted to make sure that I am in the healthiest place that I can be. And again, thank God that I'm in a position to have insurance and, the access to health care. And we know what Black maternal health looks like. Mm-hmm. It is dire. It's like we're dying at a rate faster than everybody. So for me, it's like, look, I wanted to be able to use the show to talk about health, to talk about my reproductive health. And then also, I do think that there's a conversation to be had for the corporate girls who've waited a long time to have their babies.
Your baby is 15 years old, right?
Exactly.
And you can start all over again right now.
Yep, I would. And I think that there's a lot of women who are doing that. It's like I look at the majority of my friends who are in their mid-40s, and a lot of them don't have children yet. Some of them haven't gotten married yet, either because they were focused on their careers and didn't, make that commitment, or they didn't find partners who could manage their alphaness, or whatever the reason is, but who want families. And so I'm like, again, there is no shame in that. It's like you can say it out loud that I want a baby or I want a family, and then take the steps to get it. I just think we should remove the shame from it. So yeah, I'm gonna be an old ass mom, but I'm gonna do it.
I got one. Oh, go ahead. No.
I was going to ask, you mentioned marriage.
Yes.
And I know that, you've been married before. Now you and Keely are together. It seems like I saw y'all pictures when you were away. Is that is that a conversation for y'all right now?
Yes, it is a conversation. Well, because I want to have a family in a nuclear unit.
Got you.
So I want to be married and then have babies.
So we're going to see an engagement on the show.
Look, girl, you talk to him. Where's he at?
How do you keep Keely from getting gassed up because of the TV show? Because the camera's in front of him and getting a little hot now.
You know what? I think that I think I'd probably, if I didn't know that he would be all right, I probably wouldn't have wanted to be with him in the first place. Because you got to have a level head. You can't let anybody make you feel like, oh, now I'm big man on campus. That can't be the way we behave. So I trust that he's level-headed enough to take everything with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
People love you one day, they're gonna hate you the next day.
That's right.
Look, you just gotta take it as it comes.
Y'all should get the T-shirts. Keely, my man, my man, my man.
Well, we appreciate.
I got one last question about DEI, because to me these corporate DEI initiatives have always been some BS, because like the number of Black CEOs never increased. The money corporations, pledged all these Black organizations. They never gave that out, and I think it was easy for them to get rid of them because they never wanted them to begin with.
Whoa,
So I keep saying real DEI has to be created by us. So
yes.
What does that look like?
I completely agree. And the other issue, and nobody wants to talk about this, is that the DEI offices never were funded. And so it's like, as a CMO, I had $1 billion to spend. My DEI partner, chief diversity officer, 0 budget.
Wow.
And so you had all these companies and organizations where those officers would have to go asking for money for their projects. Now, if I have the ROI on what I'm doing with my money, why would I give it to you? I don't know what you're going to do with it. And I don't know that you're really going to turn it into more profit, because you probably can't. And so how am I going to trace that the money I assigned to you is going to do the thing? So most of the time, those DI officers didn't get any money at all.
Wow.
And so I don't know how you succeed. I think the whole system was set up for failure. And so, yes, I agree with you in that it does have to start with us. It has to start with executives who are currently in roles who are afraid to hire Black and brown people because they don't want to look like they have bias. And I'm like, no, you should have bias. That is actually your job in that role. So even though like in the roles I never had DEI against my name, I absolutely put that as part of what I want to do, increase the number of my employees and the people on my team who were Black and brown or othered that I don't have the perspective of theirs and I need it in order to do the job well. So it just made mathematical and business sense. But also that, we have to look at the other offices and make sure that those folks are also feeling the responsibility of promoting D&I, of doing the work, because once those officers go, don't think that you're safe.
That's right.
That's right. Well,
I got one more show question.
Yes.
So I know that there was an episode that aired yesterday. I didn't get to see the episode,
Mm-hmm.
but y'all did like the Tranquil Spa Day.
Yes,
and they were talking
at
about the
my
text
house.
messages.
Yes, the Serenity Soiree.
Yes. Do you still feel like Kyle Richards was on BS?
Yes,
like you
I do. Yeah.
So you think she was trying to take old girl's husband?
No. I don't think she was trying to take her man.
What do you think?
But I do think that she was talking trash about her.
But
I think
why
that she
even
was
do
saying,
that? Like, what is the overall goal then? Do you think?
To because they were friends, and if you're talking about, like, I'm gonna put myself in the shoes because that's how I reviewed it. I'm like, look, if you're gonna say something about me, you should just say it to my face, no?
Mm-hmm.
But don't go say it to my man and then say that you're gonna keep it a secret.
And they're separating
like,
at the same time that you're saying
I'm
it.
like, so, well, whose side are you on? I just think that breaks the girl code.
And then in
I
real
don't
life,
like
does
that.
that make you and Kyle Richards now y'all are at odds, or like she?
Well, you have to watch the rest of the season.
Oh, okay. All right. It's my last fan question.
all right.
Oh, it's been great. Thank
Well,
you
we
so
appreciate
much.
you for joining us
And
so much.
Eve by Boss.
Oh, yes. Well, so, yes. So, by the way, when I retired from corporate life and promoted my book and all those things, I thought that, like, okay, that was it. I'm done. But interestingly enough, like it or not, my hair has always been a topic of conversation in my corporate career. I mean, it's like when I did the Apple keynote, I was the first Black person to present, technology on that stage. And half of the tweets that night were about my hair. And I have always been an advocate of being able to use the laws and, the rules that have been written, whether it's the Crown Act or anything else, which allows for you to be fired or suspended from school if your hair isn't straight or whatever. Like those rules still exist on the books. And figure out well, how can I celebrate that? How can I, encourage us? How can I make sure that if I want to wear my hair any kind of way I want, let me do it in the way I want to do it. And when I looked at the hair extension industry, 80% of the consumer base is Black women or women of color. Yet we don't have any ownership in manufacturing and distribution, in innovation. So I'm like, why is a lace white? Like, I could see your lace, yes, because it's white. You know what I mean?
Diet so
like,
much.
why? And look, you could go on YouTube or Google it, and you'll find 14 million videos of Black women kitchen chemists who are out here telling you how to lay your lace and make the color like you. And I'm just like, why is that? So I went to China by myself and to the biggest hair show in the world and just walked around and asked questions. And then when I realized that, oh, wait, hold on. This is actually an industry that's making a lot of money, but we're not anywhere in the seats. I was like, well, I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to get in there. So I built a factory in Ghana. I started manufacturing, and then now I'm selling it to the world.
Wow. How is it going to impact your business with Trump and the new administration and stuff?
Well, look, as long as the tariffs uphold, I'll be fine. But the good news is that there are really great trade agreements between Africa and the U.S. And the U.K., and so I can distribute anywhere I want.
But you said build.
That's
You
so
said
fire.
you built a factory.
Yeah,
in
I
Ghana?
did. Yeah.
That's
The
a
girls
flex.
just be getting vendorless. You went and built a factory.
No, I built a factory because the thing is, I also didn't want to argue with people. I'm tired of that. I'm like, look, and I used every dime of my own money to build it. I didn't ask for any investors. I was like, again, I've worked for 25 years. It's like I have all these stocks in all these companies. It's like, why not invest it in what's going to help us and what's going to be better for us?
Love that.
That's right.
Wow. So how did they buy some Eve?
www.evebybose.com.
EveByBose.com.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Bozoma saying,
Why the name?
thank you
Is
so
that
much.
based off the Eve? From the Bible?
Well, yes, a few reasons. My first child actually did not survive her delivery day. Her name was Eve.
Sorry to hear that.
And also the Eve in the Bible and the Eve in science all originated from the continent of Africa.
That's right.
And so I was like, you know what? We are the original woman. And so we're going to take back that narrative too. Because when I looked at all the pictures for Eve as I was like concepting the brand, all of them were pale and redheaded. I was like, why is that? Where's the black Eve at? So I was like, all right, that's going to be the name of the company.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Bozoma St. John, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's
I
the
appreciate
Breakfast
it.
Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.